Hello, it's time to make one more scrap block for Vlogmas in July 2024. This block, I pulled it from the Block a Day book by Lucinda Ganderton. Here it is, 365 quilting squares for patchwork inspiration. And I dug into my 2.5-inch square box so that we can make this block, the hidden 9 patch. Now, what I like about this block is that it's completely scrappy, or it can be completely scrappy, but they did put a 9 patch right in the center. But the way that they played with this, I think it's really going to make this 9 patch pop. So it's sort of dark light, dark light. So the pattern is sort of dark light, and then this 9 patch in the middle. And they have a very selective amount of colors. So I count 3-ish colors. So like there's a dark blue, there are oranges and browns, and then the lights are kind of these teals. That way, when you add the neutral, it really pops. So I took that same principle and I've applied it to my own hidden 9 patch block right here. The colors that I chose were purple, black, and orange brown. So you can see that I have mostly purple, gray, and black with a few smidgens of orange or brown thrown in. And I think that it's going to be effective. You can see my 9 patch right here in the middle. I'm hopeful that it's going to pop. I didn't look at it really hard on the camera, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. But we're going to see how this works out. I think it's going to be fine. As I said, these are all 2.5-inch squares. I'm going to try a technique that I don't normally use for this. That is webbing. I am concerned about it because I like to kind of press as I go. And with webbing, you can't really do that. I don't think you can do that. We'll see. So basically what that is sewing all of these in a row and then adding 1 block at a time for each row. Let's try it and see how it works out. I'm going to, again, when I get to the end of a section, I'm going to go to my leader ender project before I add more blocks. But let's get it started. So I'm going to do the first 2 rows right over left. And I'm just going to give this a 1/4-inch seam. For this, your 1/4-inch seam has to be really consistent. I don't think it has to be perfect, but you do want to make it consistent. Then I'm going to go down to the next row, right over left. And the benefit of these is that you really, it's less likely that you can get things out of order because they stay in order. And I'm not breaking thread. So they even the rows stay stitched together and the blocks stay in order. So that's one of the perks of this. 3rd row. Okay. And it would be so nice. I would be so happy if I finger press these as I went, but I'm just not sure that I can do that, or that it's the most efficient. I'll put it that way. I'm not sure that it's the most efficient. Okay. But it might be faster. We'll see if this way is faster and how I feel about it after I have to press everything. And I tried not to repeat any fabrics in this one, but for these colors in my 2.5-inch squares, I don't really have a lot of these colors. It probably would have been, I could have made it completely scrappy if I had used red and pink or blue, but I just chose to go with the purple, the darker kind of colors this time to see what it'll look like. And I thought about doing the green to make it, this way makes it a little bit Halloween-y, I think. But I was going to add the green and add just a little bit more touch of Halloween. This is my leader ender project, so I'm just kind of pushing this one to the side. But I need to add another one so that I can take these off the machine. All right. So, thank you to everybody who checked out that potato chip block yesterday. It was really nice. Okay, so got the first row done. Okay, and there they are. So next we're just going to add the next block. And really what I would love to do is finger press and then go the opposite way. But I'm not sure if it's efficient, but I'm just going to do it this time, y'all, and just see what happens. See how I like it. Because I just prefer to press as I go. I think it helps my stuff to be better. But it might not, it might not matter on this one. Okay. So next we're going to add the third square in each row. Trying to keep these in order. Okay. And I think it'll help if I know that I'm adding a darker block to the lighter block for every other row. So this row gets the darker block. Okay. And the next row gets a lighter block. This one gets the darker block. But I think this is a great use of my 2.5-inch squares. It's gonna really, because you get to use like 36 of them at a time, so that's kind of neat. And if I wanted to, I could intersperse these with my postage stamp blocks because they're going to be the same size. So that could also be interesting. What I'm thinking about now is if I'm going to continue to finger press every step, and I really think I am. Okay, so I'm pulling my first, my leader off, giving it a finger press. And now at this point in my other blocks, I am making 4 patches for my Jacob's ladder. So I hope this isn't too distracting to see me work on the leader ender blocks. But I just want you to see kind of how this works in practice. I know I talk about it all the time on my channel. And because I've made 9 of these blocks so far this year, because I do want to have a completed quilt, but at least now you get to kind of see it in practice. See me making these blocks as I work on another project. Okay, so now I'm going to cut off my pieces here, and I am going to finger press. So again, not sure how efficient this is, especially the more blocks I add on, but we're just going to, because the thought of not finger pressing it, just, I can't do it, y'all. So and I think it may be easier for me to finger press each seam instead of trying to go and do the whole row, even though I don't think that this is the most efficient, but it's actually more efficient than taking them off one at a time and finger pressing. So we're going to add the 4th now. And it's not taking too long for this block to go together, I guess. I don't know how long we've been working on it though. So. And I think that for me, this finger pressing, it keeps it open. But again, I haven't really tried webbing, or if I have, it's been a long time since I did it like this. we're doing pretty good. We got 2 more to add on each row. Then we get to start sewing these rows together. Let's see. Now we'll cut these off. Okay, let's see. Okay. So now I'm trying to think through what it's going to look like when I have to sew the rows together. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, really, but I'm trying to think that through, what it's going to be like. If I need to cut off or cut them apart at this stage. That's what I'm thinking. Do I need to cut them apart when I get ready to sew the rows together? Okay, so now we're going to add piece number 5. It's interesting to move the whole set over at once. That's kind of interesting. And I hope my bobbin doesn't run out while I am stitching this. If it runs out, I hope it runs out in between stages, not in the middle. But I like these colors together. I think we're gonna have a nice looking block here. And I don't know, this week I did last week I did the crumb blocks in purple. And then today, this one is in purple. And I used to not care for purple as a color. But then when I first started quilting all those years ago, I had to make like 3 or 4 purple quilts in a row. Like I had one person order, maybe a couple people ordered a purple quilt, and then my niece's favorite color was purple, so I made a purple quilt for her, and then I took the scraps and made another purple quilt. You know, so I have a lot of purple in my stash. And then when I remade my Heartbeat Bargello quilt, I chose purple for that one, but it was because purple was not one of my favorite colors. And so I picked it to kind of give myself a challenge. And it's a pretty quilt. I think if I have a picture of it, I'll put it in the video so that you can see how that one turned out. And there's a playlist for it as well. And I thought that I had made this block before, but I have not. I don't think so. But I thought I had. But when I look back at my stuff, maybe I have not. So this will be the first time. And I think it's going to be really cool. So we have 1 more square to add on to each row. And then we can start sewing these rows together. I'm just not sure how I'm going to do that yet. We shall see. And I think I need to cut them apart though to do it, but I'm not sure. But this process, hopefully you can see that sewing this block together, even if you don't web it, I don't think it would take very long to stitch because you can chain piece it fairly simply. Okay. Uh-oh. Don't want my stuff to move. All right, so let's get a finger press on these. And let me know what you guys think about finger pressing or not finger pressing, or if you web like this all the time. Let me know in the comments. That would be awesome. I want to know who is already doing this. Like I said earlier, I had reservations about it because of the pressing. But this batch finger press, it's not so bad. It's all right. It's probably faster than what I normally do. Okay, last square. And I think that I like the finger pressing because it's really open. It opens those the rows out, so it's easier for me to kind of see where that next piece goes. But I've seen webbing, but I don't remember if it's always the case, if it's always this open or if they're kind of just flopping around, because that's what makes me nervous, that I'll put something in the wrong place because everything is kind of flopping. Yeah. But so far, this is going well. I'm excited. I'm interested to see once I'm editing this, how long it's taken to get to this step. And like if you're sewing 2.5-inch squares together, like I think this will be awesome because it's going together pretty fast. And you get to use up some scraps. Free fabric. So let's see how we looking. All right. 2 more. Not too bad. This looks neat. Okay. Okay. All right, now I think what I'm going to do. Okay, I just thought of this. Instead of doing my leader ender at this point, I'm going to take the first 2 rows off. So I'm only going to cut that second row here. Okay. And I'm going to do the finger pressing first. So this one goes to the right. And I hope you notice that I'm pressing them in different directions, pressing each row in different directions. Okay. And so now I'm going to just flip this bottom row on the top row, and the seam should nest. Can you see that? And then I'm just going to sew the second row onto the first row. And I only cut the thread between the second and third rows. I did not cut the thread between the first and second rows. So the ones that I'm sewing together, I didn't break the thread. All right, and my seams should nest. As they go, I'm just kind of lining them up, making sure they nest. Here. And hopefully they'll do okay. As I'm feeling them, I'm a little bit nervous about some of them, but we'll just see what happens. But I think that this block is really coming together fast. I wish I knew how much time I had been sewing on it. All right, so rows 1 and 2 are together. Now I'm going to cut rows 3 and 4. And really, I could go ahead and cut row. Oh, I can. All right, I'll just cut this one off as well. There's just 1 stitch to cut right here. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to finger press this one and this one. Okay, and now we'll fold bottom into top. And then do the same thing, just trying to make the seams nest. They're in opposite directions, so they should have a nice nest. So we'll see. Okay. And again, I haven't broken thread, just going chain piece, chain piece, chain piece. All right, this one I really want to nest because it's that hidden 9 patch, but okay. We're just trying to work it. Okay, I'm going to pull the first one off, and let's see, we flipped bottom over the top. So I'm going to, let me think. It went like this. So I think that's right. All right, and I'm just finger pressing the seam down. They are not all perfect, but should be okay. All right, so there's our first 2 rows. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the third set in the machine. And then we can start sewing some more of this together. Let's see. All right, folding bottom over the top, getting those seams close to nested if we can. And now in this stage, if I had pressed that top seam to the left and the bottom seam to the right, then I think it would have given me a better nest, because the seam on the top would be pointing toward the needle. And I think that helps it to nest a little bit better. But my natural tendency is to press to the right. And so that's what I do first. But I still think it's going to be okay. I'm not stressed about it. These are scraps. And so I'm not trying to, make a contest quilt block or anything like that. So just trying to use up the scraps and have a good time and create something pretty. So, okay, keep going. And one more seam to nest. Okay. And then just making sure the end lines up here. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing that we just did. Take this one, fold it down, and press down. These seams did a little bit better. Yay. Okay. And after I press, I always press the block seams down. I don't know why. All right, so now with this one, we're going to fold bottom over the top and do the same thing. Get everything nested. These will be easier to nest, hopefully, because the top seam is pointing toward the needle. So let's see. Okay, keep going. All right, and then after this step, I will have to go to my other project so I can get everything off the machine, so I can sew the last seam for this block. And I thought about this yesterday. It took so long to prepare to lay out the block. Today it didn't take as long because all of my squares were pre-cut, and so it was just a matter of arranging. Yesterday for the potato chip block, I was still cutting, and so that's what made it take a little bit longer. With this one, since my squares were already pre-cut, it wasn't so bad. But I started cutting some additional potato chip segments, some rectangles, so that the next time I want to do a block, I will have more pieces available. All right, so now we're going to take this last one. I'm just pressing that seam down. Okay. All right, adding the other bits. Let's do a quick 4-patch. This is for my Jacob's ladder. All right, and okay. All right, we got one more seam. Very excited. All right, so finger press this one down. I can't wait to see what this looks like on the camera. All right, and now we're going to fold this one up to get the last stitch. And my bobbin's not going to run out. Hooray! And this is so fun to think that these were just random squares in a box, and they're going to create this really cute block. And even though I haven't seen it finished yet, I'm going to go ahead and call it cute because I think it is going to be cute. And again, it's from the Block a Day book. And that book has 365 quilt blocks. And I have made 3 quilts using inspiration from this book, maybe more. Actually, I've made more quilts using inspiration from this book. But I did 2 sampler quilts. One is the Starlight Star Bright quilt, which is my nephew's quilt that's on the long arm. So if you have not checked out, if you've not seen that playlist, I'll link it in the description box. Another one that I made with inspiration from this book is my beginner sampler quilt. And that's a quilt that I made using blocks that only had squares and rectangles in it. And I will put that one in the description box as well. And I just took a look at that quilt this morning because I thought that I made this block for that quilt, but I did not. And so if I can find a picture of it, I will put it here because I pulled it out. It's very bright and fun, and I need to give it a backing and quilt it because the binding is already made too, so it's ready to go. All right, so here we go. Yay. Let's take a look. Oh, it's pretty cute. I do need to go give it a quick press. So let's give it a press and then we will take a look at the completed pressed block. Here is the completed hidden 9-patch block. I love this block. And I love the way that it came out, even with the webbing. I think that it was maybe a little bit more efficient than my normal way. I might have a new way to create blocks like this. I love this 9-patch that kind of pops in the middle. I haven't seen it on camera yet, but I just think it's going to be so nice. And what I can imagine with this block is doing a lot of blocks in different colorways. And then instead of setting them right next to each other the exact same way, turning them so that the block shows up in a different location every time. I think that it would give it a really nice, it would give it some nice contrast throughout the quilt top. And then also I wonder about combining it with some postage stamp blocks. Let me see what that would look like, because it's the same concept, dark light, dark light. I'm looking right now for some of my postage stamp blocks so we can play with that a little bit, because I think if those blocks are interchangeable, I think it could give us some cool looks and maybe some surprises in a quilt. So I have a couple of my blocks. So let's just see. I don't know how far we can zoom out. But so if we have this one, Let's zoom. Oh, I think that's all we got. No, we don't. Okay, so here we go. So let's just try it with, say, 4 blocks. So something like that. And then this is the rainbow one that we did. I'll put it on this side of it. You know, like you can get some really interesting things that happen. And all of these are 6x6 layouts. So I think we can get some really interesting vibes from putting these blocks together. I don't think that I will do that because I really love the idea of just this in a quilt. But really fun and a really neat block to create. And I really enjoyed creating it. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and for tuning into Vlogmas this month. I will see you next time. Bye.